It's the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Tuckheads Tuesday, presented, of course, by DraftKings. Why is it Tuckheads Tuesday? Because your boy took a much-needed vacation after a very long football season where, and I'm not complaining, but I think starting the first week of August, whenever that first Eagles preseason game is, I basically work 7 days a week the whole season. College games or travel on Saturday. I'm at least doing pregame or something on Sunday. So to be able to fly out to Montana on Thursday and not do any work, really, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I guess it was really only a 4-day vacation, a long weekend, but it was wonderful. I even thought about trying to get the Ross Tucker Football Podcast in for you guys late last night when I got back, and I just thought, no, the college draft is already posted and great content. I can do the Ross Tucker Football Podcast tomorrow. So I guess we'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. Looks like tomorrow we should have Chad Henne, which I'm really looking forward to get his thoughts on retiring after winning the Super Bowl, a second one. And then, of course, Greg Cosell on Thursday as we get into the draft series with Greg, which is very exciting. Had an awesome time. Skiing is like my favorite thing to do. It's one of the only things I can do sort of athletically post-football, so it was awesome. Many daddy sodas were had. It's kind of unbelievable, actually, just to give you an idea of my genetics and also how much fun I had, I guess. I worked out every morning and skied all day, every day. I gained 12 pounds. When I left Thursday morning, I was 253. This morning, 265. 12 pounds. Now, some of that's water weight and the beer or whatever, and it'll come off, but wow. I mean, I am like born and built to be a big person, right? Like to be like that's how I was able to be 320 pretty darn easily. It's a new week, which means a couple things. Number one is so excited for today's guest. I mean, I've been waiting a long time to interview one of the amazing human beings that does not watch the Super Bowl. So a little bit different than a normal interview, but I just thought it would be interesting. I mean, obviously, if you guys listen to me or watch me, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, you're really into football. I mean, you're really into it. You watch, listen to this show all the time. I've never actually in my life, to my knowledge, met somebody who doesn't watch the Super Bowl. So really looking forward to that. Her name is Maddy Levy, joining us momentarily. We will have winners this week. By the way, anybody that's won during the season, you should have gotten your prize now. Last week, I was able to catch up on things. You should have gotten your signed picture or your signed football card or your signed press pass. So hopefully you did. And let's keep it rolling. I got all kinds of awesome stuff. Maybe I'll go over them tomorrow again. But I got all kinds of awesome press passes from the season that I would love to give you guys. Just spread the word via social media. I can't remember anything else to do. So let's just do one more week of the 5-star rating on Spotify. So just rate us on Spotify, rate and review the show, screenshot it, send it to me, ross@rosstucker.com. Sponsor confirmation email winner. Could be ExpressVPN, could be West Shore Home, could be Labatt, could be any of these, any of the ones you see on the sponsor page over at rosstucker.com. And then the YouTube shout out, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Just subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and then reply to any video. Say, Ross, I'm looking for that video shout out. I don't want to pay the $25 for a cameo. I want to just get it from you by winning this contest, which is cool. You can always get a shout out if you become a patron, patreon.com/RT Media. Let's do it. Big show time. I'm excited.
The Big Show.
All right. As promised, I have always wanted to do this. A very different show today. we are joined by Maddy Levy, who is one of the 200 million Americans that did not watch the Super Bowl. So, Maddy, I don't even know how much you know about me, but I'm a former NFL player. I'm obsessed with football, growing up in Pennsylvania, and now I'm a broadcaster. And I've often wondered, who are the 200 million people that don't watch the Super Bowl? What do they do during it? So I'm fascinated by it. I guess I need to start with this, though. You emailed me because you found out that I was looking for someone like you to come on the show. Who emailed you or who told you to email me, and what did they say?
So my cousin works for ESPN. Her name is Alexa Dettelbach. She's a diehard sports fan. She went to Michigan. She's a Dolphins fan, which, from my understanding, is bad. But
that was amazing.
She just sent me your tweet, and to be honest, I do not know who you are.
Oh, if you didn't watch the Super Bowl, I wouldn't expect that you would.
I watched. When you say the Super Bowl, the words I'm hearing are the Rihanna concert. So I did watch that. But yeah, so my cousin, she sent me her tweet and told me to email you. So I was like, this sounds funny. So I did.
I love that you just said she's a Dolphins fan, which I'm told is bad.
Yeah, because she's always disappointed. So that seems bad.
Okay. So Maddy, where are you from, or where do you live now?
So I'm from Washington, D.C. I still live in the area, and I'm a special education teacher.
Oh, that's awesome. That is fantastic. What age?
My students are actually high school age, so I work with the older guys.
Okay, and then when you say D.C. area, so I played for the Washington football team twice, actually. So I'm decently familiar. Are you Maryland, Virginia? Are you in the district?
I grew up in D.C. proper. In the Cathedral Heights area, and now I live in Rockville because it's near my school.
Awesome. Yeah, so my sister lives in Potomac.
Okay, yeah.
Not too far, and I'm familiar with Rockville.
Yeah.
I know that well. So, okay. All right. So your cousin, how close are you with your cousin?
She's my best friend ever.
Really?
Yeah, she's literally my best friend ever.
She's your best friend ever, and she's super into sports, and you aren't at all. Are you not into football or any sports?
I don't like sports, but especially football.
Okay, you gotta tell me why.
Well, we'll start with the easy reasons. It's kind of boring, first of all. I'm sorry. The players are all covered up, so you can't play smash or pass, which is a huge thing that you can play in basketball. And I feel like they stop and start too much, and it's I get very bored. And yeah, those are the main reasons I don't like football. And also, I like all of the shit people give me for not liking it.
Okay. You like that people give you crap for not liking football.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your thing now.
It's almost like the way people like football as their thing, me not liking it is mine. And I also don't like the NFL as an organization.
Why not?
Well, because I just think it's a racist organization.
And
I'm
okay.
honest, yeah.
I want to go back to something you said.
Okay.
You said you can't play smash or pass.
Yeah, you can't.
Is that exactly what I think you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I just want to make sure. We are a family-friendly podcast, so I'm not going to go too far into that. But I wanted to make sure it was what I had not heard of that game, but I can imagine what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to take me back to your upbringing. All right.
Okay.
So let's say you're 7 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
Who did you live with when you were 7?
My mom, my dad, and my sister.
Okay. During the Super Bowl, what did your mom and your dad and your sister do? And what did you do?
So my sister and I would play in the basement. We had like this huge bean bag and we would jump from the stairs onto the bean bag. My parents would watch the Super Bowl and we would simply not.
Does your sister watch the Super Bowl now or no?
No, she hates it even more than me.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
Same
she doesn't
reasons,
like,
or does she have
yeah,
different reasons?
pretty much the same reasons.
Okay. So do you ever go to Super Bowl parties?
No.
Okay,
I
I didn't know if like you would get invited to a Super Bowl party and you'd go just to be social.
Well, the thing is, it's like everyone's watching the game and talking about it, and I have no contributions. So it's not that fun, but the Super Bowl food is always on point.
So then what do you do?
I'll eat the food and go on my phone. Or like literally one year, like I was invited to a Super Bowl party and I brought my laptop and I played Sims.
Played what?
Sims.
What's that?
You never played Sims growing up?
I don't know what. No, I'm 43. How old are you?
I'm 29.
What is Sims?
Sims is like the best game ever that your fans are probably going to be mad at you for not knowing what Sims is. Just saying. But it's just like a really fun like world building game that you play on your computer.
So wait a minute. Maddie.
Yeah.
You would go to a Super Bowl party. You would bring your laptop.
Mm-hmm.
You would eat the food.
Yeah.
And then during the game at a Super Bowl party, you would be on your laptop playing a building video game.
That's right. Yeah, that is.
This interview is honestly even better than I would have imagined. This is incredible. Okay. So, all right. So the reasons why you don't watch it, you don't like sports, but especially football.
Yeah.
You just find it boring, and you don't like the NFL as an organization. So I'm assuming you don't watch college football, right?
No, but I do know they have like completely different rules than the NFL.
They do have some different rules, yes. Okay, so every year when you were growing up and your parents were watching the Super Bowl, you never were. You and your sister were just doing other things.
Yeah.
And how much? So you guys are close in age. So you always had a buddy. Did your parents ever say to you, girls, do you want to watch the Super Bowl? Girls, the Super Bowl's on. Like, how did that conversation go?
I think my dad was more so my dad who would be interested in having my sister and I watch. And I think he inherently knew that when you tell someone to do something, they're not going to do it. So I think he just knew that we weren't going to watch. But when it was the halftime show, you tell me when the halftime show starts, I'm going to be there. So like this on Sunday, my friends texted me when it was time for the Rihanna concert. And that is when I turned on my TV. So
you are one of the 5 million. So just so you know, 113 million people watch the game and 118 million people watch Rihanna. So you're one of the 5 million people that tuned in for Rihanna. That makes me think, by the way, that number might even be higher. If someone like you you don't like it at all and you have a disdain that you tune in for Rihanna. What did you think of Rihanna, by the way?
I thought she was literally amazing. Like, I know that some people are like, she didn't have any special guests or it wasn't like a big spectacle, but like, she is the spectacle. You know? She's all the guests that one.
You know what I think? So like, I'm never big on the Super Bowl halftime show. It's the least interesting aspect of it to me.
What?
And I think what it is for me, Maddie, is I just don't like concerts on TV. Like, I love concerts. I love live music, but I got to be there and like, you know, have an adult beverage and like be dancing. Watching a mini concert on my couch in my basement in central Pennsylvania, it's like, nah. I mean, you know, I'm actually most intrigued by the dancers. Like, the dancers blow me away.
Yeah,
I think that they are phenomenal. And I found out recently that they didn't even get paid till last year was the first year they got paid, which is amazing, by the way.
Oh, that is amazing.
$15 an hour is what they make for 72 hours of rehearsal time before the Super Bowl. Okay, so what did you do this year in the first half and the second half? So I know you got texted and you watched Rihanna. I know what you did when you were little. You jumped on the bean bags.
Yeah.
And then when you go to Super Bowl parties, you bring your laptop and you play games, or you look at your phone and you eat the food. Got it. What did you do this year?
So this year I did make buffalo chicken dip because it's a Super Bowl. Like, you have to make something. So I made that, and for the first half, I was on TikTok, watching my TikToks. Okay, watching my shows. Watched the Rihanna concert. And by the way, you maybe don't like watching it, but I was literally out of breath, singing every word in my living room, dancing, everything. So I literally felt like I was there. And then in the second half, I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender.
How was it?
It's like my 20th time watching, and it's amazing every time.
Is that the new one?
No, it's the OG.
Really?
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
No, I've seen the original Avatar. I didn't think it was that great.
What?
You've watched it 20 times?
At least.
Have you watched the new one?
No.
Why not?
I don't like remake. I don't believe in that.
You don't like sequels?
I don't.
Interesting. Okay, Maddie, we're going to get to a couple more questions here.
Okay.
Did you know who was playing in the Super Bowl this year?
No.
You get bonus points if you knew who was in the Super Bowl.
Well, I know now. But
how do you know now?
Because my students told me.
Okay. But you didn't know during the game.
I did know before the game because they told me like last week.
Okay. Who was it?
It was the Chiefs, hailing from Kansas City.
Yes.
And the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's right. Who were you rooting for?
Well, my cousin wanted the Chiefs to win, so them. I just want everyone to be happy, you know?
Is there anything I could do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you watch a football game with me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, is there anything I could do? Like, what if I watched a football game with you and kind of explained like what was happening?
You would be the millionth on a list of people who have tried to do that.
Do you ever get frustrated with people in life?
Every day.
Do you ever dream about like how awesome it would be to be able to just run into them and knock them over as hard as you can?
I'm more of a mind games person, all right? The physical stuff, sure, but you got to get in someone's head.
Maddie, I had no idea what I was getting into with this. I might do more stuff like this. This is just fun for me. All right. When you emailed me, you said my cousin told me to email you about being on a podcast. What do I win? Is that how podcasts work?
Yeah.
which is incredible. So, okay, I get that you're not into football. Do you not know anything about podcasts?
I don't like podcasts either.
Why not?
Much like football, I think they're boring and they start and stop too much.
Okay, what do you like, Maddie? Tell me what Maddie likes.
That's a great question.
You like Avatar, The Last Airbender.
I do. I love that.
Okay.
I love
music.
I love music. That is so true.
You love TikTok.
I do love TikTok. Yes. See, you get me already.
Oh, Maddie, this was awesome. I really needed this because my life is totally centered around football, right?
Yeah.
But I do think it's healthy in life to step away from that, to step back from that, and also just to realize it's like something really bad happened to me in high school. I was really upset about something, and my grandfather pointed out that 2 billion people in China had never heard of me and they couldn't care less.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, thank you, Pop-Up. That makes me feel better. But he was making a point. So I think it's healthy for me to realize that there's 200 million people like you, Maddie. There's more people like you, Maddie, in the United States than there are like me. But what's so interesting about it is you know about it. You even made a buffalo chicken dip. You've been to Super Bowl parties. Mm-hmm. You actually tune in for halftime. I might even get more people like you to talk about this because I find it fascinating. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Maddie. Do you have any charity or anything you'd like to plug, a business, anything you want to give a shout out to? Go for it.
Yes, I would like to start some kind of consortium of businesses in the DC area that would hire people with autism. So I was wondering if you could put my email or something in case anyone is interested in just talking about this with me.
Yes, Jack will put your email in the show notes.
Perfect.
So anybody that watches or listens to this episode will be able to email you directly, Maddie, to talk about that. So that, by the way, sounds amazing. And kudos to you. Your job is amazing. I love that there are people with your abilities in life. It's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
I am really looking forward to hearing what the feedback is from you guys on that. Really looking forward to getting your feedback. I think it's important in life to change things up a little bit. We'll have a player tomorrow. We'll have Greg Cosell Thursday. That is interesting too, to have someone that does not watch the Super Bowl. That was fascinating for me and hilarious. Thank you very much to Maddy Levy for coming on the show. And thank you very much to Labatt Blue. Big fan of Labatt Blue Light. Big fan of skiing like I did all weekend and drinking Labatt Blue Light. If you want to really take things to the next level, drink some Labatt Blue Lights with your friends and live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, we'll start with the Washington Commanders hiring Eric Bieniemy as their new offensive coordinator and assistant head coach.
So I have several things to say about this, Jack. So I'm going to make this our Labatt Tuck's Take of the week. It's presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. 3 things jump out to me about this Eric Bieniemy move. Number one, he clearly, obviously felt like he needed to do this to give himself a better chance to be a head coach. It's kind of a shame that that's the case, but I think he's right. I think if he goes to Washington and he's calling the plays and they have success on offense, I think he will get a lot more of the credit than he was in Kansas City. And I think he'll have a better chance to be a head coach. That's part one. Part two, I read an interesting article from Roger Sherman of The Ringer, just talking about Eric Bieniemy. I guess two things jump out to me. First of all, he's been interviewed for head coaching jobs 16 times by 15 different teams. So the team I think I would be most interested in talking to about Eric Bieniemy is the Houston Texans. I mean, because people obviously, his color of his skin, race is talked about a lot when it comes to Bieniemy. The Texans, 3 years in a row, have hired a black head coach that wasn't Eric Bieniemy. David Culley, Lovie Smith, DeMeco Ryans. So I would love for someone to be able to interview ownership or Nick Caserio for the Texans and say, okay, 3 years in a row, you went with a black head coach, but not Eric Bieniemy? Because they probably know more than anybody else. And then the other thing is he wrote in the article that reportedly Bieniemy doesn't interview well. Well, that's pretty obvious, right? I mean, if he's been interviewed 16 times and hasn't gotten one of them, that would seem to be the case, which I think is a bigger question. How important is a job interview to actually doing the job? Like on the one hand, when Nick Sirianni, his initial press conference for the Eagles was not good. Now, that's not a job interview, but that was not good. And I think Nick would even admit that to you. But he's a really good head coach. I don't know how important a job interview is as it relates to being a head coach. I know this. I have some experience with hiring people for my small businesses or interns. I'll just say it's really hard to hire someone that doesn't have a good interview. Really hard. You talk to someone on the phone or whatever, or Zoom, and you're not feeling it. Really hard to then say, I'm still going to hire that person. So I actually think that's a bigger question as it relates to hiring in general, and in particular for football coaches. How important is the actual interview part of it as opposed to what they've proven with their players and their schemes, etc.?
Tuck's Takes.
The Carolina Panthers hired Thomas Brown from the Los Angeles Rams as their new offense coordinator.
Thomas got a bunch of interviews. So he obviously was a hot commodity because a lot of people were interviewing him, different play. I think he might have even gotten a couple of head coach interviews, but he definitely got a bunch of OC interviews, and the Panthers ended up bringing him in. And with that coaching staff they've got, that speaks very well of Thomas Brown.
Tuck's Takes.
The Arizona Cardinals find both their new coordinators going to the Browns for their quarterback coach Drew Petzing and the Eagles for their linebacker coach Nick Rallis.
I don't know much about Petzing. I do know Rallis is 29 years old and immediately becomes the youngest coordinator in the NFL. That's amazing. I mean, he'll be younger than a decent amount of the players out there in Arizona. He is very highly regarded. And the fact that Jonathan Gannon handpicked him as his coordinator speaks very well of Nick Rallis.
Tuck's Takes.
Even more coordinator news now. The Colts hiring Jim Bob Cooter as their new OC.
So he had some role like an offensive consultant with the Eagles in 2021. Then last year he went to Jacksonville, but obviously Shane Steichen, the new head coach in Indy, remembered what Jim Bob Cooter was like that 2021 year in Philadelphia and wanted to bring him along.
Tuck's Takes.
Saints running back Alvin Kamara was indicted on a battery charge.
This is from last year's Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. It is interesting to me, and I'm not being critical here, just how slow the legal process plays out. That it's more than a year since the incident took place, and now he's being indicted. Again, that's not a commentary on what he did or did not do, just something I always think is interesting. I mean, I don't know what else in life moves that slowly.
Tuck's Takes.
An underrated legend in New England, Patriots bring back Matthew Slater for his 16th season.
Just unbelievable. I mean, he's an outstanding young man. His dad played 20 years, Jackie Slater, as an offensive lineman. I don't know if Matt's going to get there. 16 seasons, we got to play 5 more years. That just sounds 16 seasons as a special teamer is wild. I actually thought he was going to be done. I'm a little bit surprised, based on his after the season press conference, kind of felt like he was going to be done, but evidently not. We are done. Although we'll have the Even Money podcast as well today. Tomorrow we'll have Fantasy Feast. Even Money will be interesting, going over some of our big takeaways from the NFL season from a betting perspective will be great. And I'll get Steve's initial thoughts on XFL. We'll look at some of the Super Bowl futures that are out there. Going to be a fun Even Money podcast tomorrow. Fantasy Feast podcast will be awesome as well. Shout outs to Pizza Boy Brewing, Sporticulture, HumanHeadNYC.com, SteakhouseSports.com, Go-Bangles.com, Evergreen Economics, BackOfficeSchedule.com, and the gift that keeps on giving, MyFrontPageStory.com. I think we're done here.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Fantasy Feast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.